Alright guys, so we're going to be talking about Breathedge, I don't know what the name of this game is. It should have been called Breath apostrophe S Edge, like Breath's Edge, better name, whatever, unless there's just some story thing I'm missing. But whatever, it's not important, alright? So it's not really going to be a review here, just because the game's like 6 months old or something, so there's really no point in doing that at this point. But I'm more just going to break down the game mechanics. It's new to Game Pass, that's why I'm talking about it. So if you have Game Pass and you haven't played this and you want to go check it out, highly recommend it, but let's just get into what the game is and how it works. So if you've played Subnautica, you've essentially played this. This is Subnautica in space, and so I wanted to compare it to No Man's Sky because I feel like No Man's Sky and Subnautica kind of sit in that same area, but really when you break it down, they don't. Subnautica is more survival focused, but those types of games where you go and punch a tree to upgrade your raft, to turn your raft into a freaking motorboat, to build a plane to escape the island. One of those games where you have a basic command where you're pretty much safe, and then you have to discover what resources get you what and how to get different resources, upgrading your character or your submarine or your spaceship. One of those types of games. Alright, I hope that explains what type of game this is. Alright, now if you've been reading the subtitles going across the screen, you'll see the game kind of tries to do the opening credits of Deadpool type thing where, they try to make jokes and be funny, and reading a lot of the reviews for the game and watching videos on it, this comedy is 50-50, right? There's some jokes that aren't funny, and I highly agree, right? There's some that are just super stupid. You see them coming a mile away. And then there's some that are just really funny. But depending on how quickly you progress in this type of game, if you're someone who picks up fast and moves from story point to story point, you're going to be hearing this a lot, and it could definitely get annoying. If you're like me, you're very slow, you get confused a lot, you get lost, then there's going to be, could be hours between these points of comedy and all of that. So it's just refreshing and keeps the gameplay interesting at least. So this right here is going to be your typical gameplay loop. You go out of your little space station base hub and you go around, collect the things you need to collect, and then go back and build whatever you need to build. Now, typically this is going to depend on how you like your survival story type games, right? If you like a lot of guidance, I think you're gonna like this. Personally, for me, something like Subnautica, there's just not enough guidance there. Right? They can't just drop you in and say, here you go, figure it out. It's like Ark, right? Here, they at least give you very basic, you need to make this tool. You need to go here. You need to go here. And once you've learned the basics to make the 4 starting tools, then it kind of just lets you do your thing, right? And so what it tries to do, progression-wise, is puts markers at distances where you can't get to them unless you progress by crafting. Typically with something like Subnautica, it would just let you explore. You'd find pieces and you'd punch and collect fish and all that stuff to unlock, oh, this makes water, this makes food. Here what they do is they put the objectives at X distance, which you physically cannot get to with what you have. So you kind of have to just go around to the wreckage and explore like that to find, boosters to move faster, bigger oxygen tanks, balloons that you can place out to refill your oxygen. So instead of the water and drowning being kind of what you're combating, as well as the animals in Subnautica, in this game, it's simply just the oxygen, at least at first, right? For the first 2-ish hours, it's just the oxygen. You have 75 oxygen, which is 75 seconds, and that's essentially you're just doing these 75-second runs, getting what you need, coming back and crafting. You'll get, more space, you get up to 125, etc., go faster, and so there are no animals, I guess, if that's what you want to call them, wildlife in this game that you have to worry out for. Like in Subnautica, I think very early on they introduce you to nothing crazy, not a big fish, but something that will attack you and do damage. Here, it's just the oxygen, so you have to plan, okay, if it takes me 30 seconds to get here, I need to have those 30 seconds to get back as well, because you lose health pretty quickly. There's also food and water, but that's so easy to get here, that's not really a problem. As you progress, though, of course, they do introduce icing to where you can't see and have to craft something so that you can actually see what you're doing, radiation, toxicity, all that good stuff, right? Electricity if you're not careful. And so, that all sounds great, but is this game good? Is it worth playing? Well, obviously I'm making a video on it, so I like it, and I think you should check it out if you like these types of games, or even if you just have Game Pass and have nothing to play. But it definitely has some problems, don't get me wrong. Primarily, the progression is kind of broken. So, typically in these games, the way it works, at least with Subnautica, and I'm going to talk about No Man's Sky just because I feel like it's at least somewhat similar with the crafting and finding resources and all that stuff. But typically how you progress in these types of games is it's really slow in the beginning because you can't figure out what's happening, right? You literally don't even know what a rock is, right? But then as you get to the middle, it speeds up, and then it kind of slows down because you get to this new skill wall, this new, cap where you unlock some new resource or some new enemy type or something like that, and then it speeds up again. But this game, that doesn't happen. It's just slow the whole way through because typically, again, using Subnautica, and I know I'm literally talking about Subnautica like this is a Subnautica video, that's the only thing I have to compare this to, right? And so, comparing it to that, right, and I haven't played Subnautica in a while, so I don't know what the primary resource is in that game. But, essentially, there is no primary resource in this game. Typically, I'm going to use No Man's Sky just because it's simple. No Man's Sky, ferrite dust and carbon, or arc, wood and stone, right? Those are like your common, F tier, you need this for everything, but it's literally everywhere resource. That's not really a thing in this game, right? You are constantly unlocking new stuff. There's metal, rubber, plastic, like piss in a bottle, ice, nitrous, condoms, tape, all types of stuff that you find, and essentially every new area, which is pretty much just wreckage because it's in space, every new wreckage you go to is going to give you a new item. And so you get the new item, and now you have something new to build to get you further. And that's essentially the gameplay loop, right? I'll give you an example. You find the condom pretty early on, and you use it as balloons. You can use it to extend your air on your character past 75 to that 125, and I believe it also unlocks the oxygen stations, which then unlocks the oxygen generator to refill the stations. So, am I biased because it's in space? Yes, I like space games, so automatically 5 out of 10 because it's a space game. No matter what, even if the game sucks, can't get lower than a 5 out of 10. Right? The comedy doesn't gain or lose at a point because it's 50-50. Sometimes it's really funny, and sometimes it's really not funny. For example, one of the first things you do is have to craft something called, crap imposed by the developers or something. Literally does nothing. It's just a statue that just sits there. And you can hit yourself in the head with it and literally kill yourself. You install it, it doesn't do anything, it just sits there, right? That, to me, that's not really that funny. But then, there's some other things that are kind of funny. So that doesn't really add or take away a point. The whole resource management, food and water, if you like food and water management, oh my god, I can't remember the name of the island game. Stranded Deep, thank you. Stranded Deep, if you like that type of survival resource management, this isn't that, right? I literally had an entire chest just full of food and water. You're not going to have that problem. But if you like space, and you like this, oh, well, let me go explore this wreckage, oh, I found piss, well, now with this piss, I can make, piss missiles. I don't know, I don't remember what it makes, alright? Well, I found this, deposit of ice on this asteroid. Now I can make a whole bunch of water, and now I found this condom. I can make these air balloons so I can go further. I found this pipe to let me travel further. I found paint to make a better helmet, and that type of stuff. If you like that, then it's all good. You'll like this game. Now, the controls, dog water, alright? It's like left stick and right stick to go up and down, B to equip. They're naturally inverted, as is the control layout, so you have to change that. Yeah, B is like your primary button. There's just a bunch of weird controller options here. I mean, you can change all of that, so that's not really a big deal. It's just something to look out for. Now, one final thing this game does that I don't like, and it's not unique to this game in any way, every game does it, but I just really hate it, is you get, I think the first thing you get is like the hammer or something. That's not what it's called, but it's a hammer, right? It's the first thing you get. And so you go to these areas exploring using the hammer to break stuff open and get new resources, right? But then you get like the scissors, and you have to go back to those original areas and use the scissors on those original. I hate that shit. Alright? Like, I like unlocking stuff, like progressing, all that, so that's fine. But don't put me in an area where I have to do something, and you can clearly see, like, I can't do that. I'm gonna have to come back and do that later. And in this game, you literally have to go backwards to do stuff. Like, you need, I think it's fabric or something like that. I'm pretty sure it's fabric. At some point, and you don't unlock the scissors till a little bit later, and if you go in the order that I went in, you know, you're clearing wreckage to wreckage. So I had to turn around and go the other way. So it's very annoying, and the guidance does get a little bit worse as you get further on. So if you're looking for that super guide, it gives you an objective, tells you exactly what to craft. This isn't it. It starts out that way, but once it gives you these basic materials, it just lets you figure it out. Like right now, my objectives get to the evacuation point. It's like 3,000 meters away. The furthest I can make it's 200 at the beginning, right? So you have to figure out how to get there. So, for example, part I got stuck on for a while. At a certain point, probably the 4 or 5 hour mark, you get to this point where at this distance, your face shield's icing. I was talking about this earlier. And literally, you just can't see. You can't see anything. Your whole face shield just ices up. And so you have to figure out how to make paint to make a new face shield so that you can see and unlock everything in that area. And so stuff like that, you know, you might have to look it up personally, I don't think it was anything too difficult. I mean, just look at what you have available to craft. As long as you cover everything, if you're someone who doesn't like to explore and you just want to, like, main the story, this isn't going to be your thing. You pretty much have to discover every single wreckage, because if you didn't discover this wreckage over here in this bottom corner, you wouldn't have figured out what paint was. And without paint, you can't make the mask to progress past the icing problem part. And so, you know, it's one of those types of games. I hope it's clear what type of game this is. I feel like I'm just repeating myself here, but I just want to make clear what the game is before someone goes and downloads it and it's like, this game sucks. But today's video, smacking another one out. If you guys enjoyed this video, let me know down in the comments below if you play this game, or if you played it when it came out 6 months ago, or if you paid for it. Definitely don't pay for it. Like, it's a good Game Pass game, but that's it. I can't tell if the frame rate's bad because of me recording it, or if it's a Premiere Pro thing. So if the frame rate's awful on this video, sorry, it runs fine on the Xbox Series X. I don't know how it runs on normal Xbox, but it's not graphically demanding. The game's like freaking like 2.5 gigabytes. You should be fine. Alright, but let me know what you think of the video and the game down in the comments below, and I'll see you guys on the next one.